Today's tech news moves fast, but understanding it shouldn't be hard. That's why Snarful Solutions Group brings you Connecting the Dots, where we break down what's happening in tech and why it matters to you. Now, let's dive in with your hosts.
Do you ever feel like your phone and your laptop are in this terrible long-distance relationship where they're barely speaking the same language?
Oh, absolutely. Constantly.
Right. Well, today, Google just announced they are essentially forcing them into couples therapy. Welcome to Connecting the Dots. I'm Alex.
And I'm Morgan.
It is Wednesday, May 13th, 2026. And, every day, our mission here is really simple. We take the day's biggest tech news and we translate it into real-world impact for you.
Right. Whether you're a working professional, a busy parent, or just, someone trying to navigate a digital world that literally changes by the minute.
Exactly. We cut out the jargon and we break down the actual mechanics behind the headlines. So before we dive into this massive strategy shift out of Mountain View today, let's take a quick look at the world around you.
Yeah, let's do it.
If you are listening from our home base here in Sacramento, you are in luck. It is a beautiful day. We're looking at sunny skies, a high of 83 degrees, and like a very light 6-mile-per-hour breeze.
Oh, perfect patio weather.
Seriously. But enjoy it if you have it, because nationally, the map is a bit wild right now.
It really is. There are currently 275 active U.S. weather alerts.
Wow.
Yeah, and 108 of those are over land. So if you're flying or, hitting the road for a business trip, definitely check weather.gov before you head out the door.
Absolutely. Good call. And just a quick check on the financial markets to see where your portfolio stands. Things are looking relatively steady this morning. Yesterday, the Dow closed just slightly up at 49,760.
Okay, not bad.
Yeah, and the S&P 500 hovered right around 7,400.
And over in the crypto space, Bitcoin opened this morning around $80,473 before dipping just a little bit in early trading.
Right, so if tracking those market numbers has you feeling, a little sluggish, let's get you energized before we tackle today's deep dive. Today's episode is brought to you by Strong Coffee, the premium instant coffee that tastes like a traditional brew, but is packed with 15 grams of protein, MCTs, and adaptogens like ashwagandha. Get clean, sustained energy without the jitters. Use promo code SNARFL for 20% off at strongcoffeecompany.com.
All right, let's get into this Google news, because it's a foundational shakeup of how millions of us are going to work.
It really is. Let's unpack this. Google is launching a brand new premium laptop line this fall, and they are calling it the Googlebook.
The Googlebook.
Yeah. The big headline here is that they are fundamentally merging Android and ChromeOS into a single unified operating system.
Which is huge.
It is. But I have to pause right out of the gate and just push back on this branding for a second.
Oh, I knew you would.
They took the word Google and they took Chromebook, and they literally just mashed them together. Googlebook.
It's very literal.
It sounds a bit like gobbledygook if you say it too fast.
It kind of does, but the branding department might have taken the easy road, but the engineering and the strategy behind that name, it's incredibly aggressive.
Okay, how so?
Well, for years, Google operated with this sort of split personality.
Right.
You had ChromeOS for laptops, which, was originally built for a cloud-first world where everything lived in a web browser.
Just tabs on tabs?
Exactly. And then you had Android powering your phones and tablets. They communicated a little bit, but this is Google declaring that the era of fragmented operating systems is completely over.
Okay.
They are building one cohesive intelligence system now.
Think of it this way. Imagine a family that has been using fragmented individual text threads for years. Like, you have to text mom on one app, dad on another, and the kids are somewhere else entirely.
Oh, total nightmare.
Right. The Googlebook is the moment they finally, mercifully get on the exact same group chat. The friction is it's gone.
That's a great way to put it.
And that's what Google is trying to do here for professionals who are constantly bouncing between their mobile devices and their keyboards.
And that ecosystem lock-in, that is a direct response to what Apple did earlier this year.
Well, the MacBook Neo.
Exactly. When Apple dropped the MacBook Neo for $599, it completely altered consumer expectations for what a budget laptop should do.
It really backed the entire PC industry into a corner. Because at $599, Jack, you have to ask yourself why you would ever buy a basic Windows PC or like a traditional Chromebook.
Right, because the MacBook Neo integrates flawlessly with the iPhone. You get your iMessage, your FaceTime, your phone mirroring.
It just works out of the box.
It just works. And Apple basically proved that users don't just want a laptop anymore. They want an extension of their phone.
Which brings us to Google's countermove, the Googlebook. And the cornerstone of this new OS is this feature they are calling Cast My Apps.
Yes. Cast My Apps.
So if I'm understanding this correctly, it's not actually downloading like a massive desktop version of a mobile app to my laptop's hard drive, right?
No, not at all.
It's almost like my laptop is acting as a remote control for my phone that's still sitting in my pocket.
That is the absolute perfect way to visualize it. It's designed to completely eliminate the barrier between the two devices.
Okay, but how does it not lag terribly?
Well, behind the scenes, it's utilizing a secure peer-to-peer Wi-Fi connection. So your laptop and your phone are talking directly to each other locally. They aren't routing through some distant cloud server.
So you get almost zero latency.
Exactly. You can seamlessly use the apps that live on your Android phone directly from your Googlebook desktop, and it feels native.
That is a massive workflow upgrade. I mean, you aren't hunting for a web-based equivalent of your favorite mobile app. You're just pulling the exact experience straight from the phone to the big screen.
And they're tackling another massive pain point here, too, by updating their Quick Share feature.
Oh, thank goodness.
Right. We all know the universal frustration of trying to send a video from an Android device to a Mac or, an iPhone to a PC.
It's a daily nightmare. The green bubble compression, the blurry videos.
Emailing files to yourself just to get them on your desktop.
Yes, I do that all the time.
Well, Google is finally bringing AirDrop compatibility directly to Quick Share.
Wait, native AirDrop compatibility?
Natively. They are starting the rollout with their own Pixel phones, obviously, but it's going to expand to Samsung, Oppo, OnePlus, Vivo, Xiaomi, and Honor devices later this year.
That is, the walls of the walled gardens are actually starting to crack here.
They really are.
Being able to natively AirDrop a high-resolution file from an Android device to a laptop is an absolute game changer for anyone who works in like a mixed device office or lives in a household divided by operating systems.
It's all about reducing that daily friction, but whenever a tech giant announces this shiny unified future, it creates immediate anxiety.
Right, about the legacy devices.
Exactly, the devices we currently rely on.
Which is the perfect pivot to the second massive layer of this announcement. Because if the premium Googlebook is the future, what happens to the trusty, beat-up Chromebooks sitting in millions of schools, businesses, and living rooms right now?
Yeah, we have to remember, it's been 15 years since the first Chromebook launched.
15 years! Wow.
And they started as these really modest, $199 plastic shells designed solely for surfing the web.
Just basic web browsing.
Right. But today, they've evolved into these premium machines. We're talking OLED panels, up to 16 gigs of RAM.
Let's translate those specs for a second, just so everyone is on the same page. An OLED panel means each pixel generates its own light, which gives you true blacks and incredible battery life.
Which was completely unheard of for a budget browser machine.
Right, and 16 gigs of RAM. That is massive memory headroom. You need that now because we aren't just reading text online anymore.
No, we're running heavy, complex web applications directly in the browser.
Exactly. So because of that hardware evolution, Google was very quick to promise that Chromebooks are not dead. They committed to providing software updates for legacy Chromebooks until at least 2034.
Which is a huge relief.
They kind of had to make that promise, though. Think about the education and enterprise market.
Oh, absolutely.
School districts, massive corporations. They buy these devices by the tens of thousands because they are cheap to maintain and easy to deploy. Google cannot afford to abandon those contracts and let Microsoft or Apple just swoop in.
No, they'd lose a massive chunk of their market share.
But here is where my anxiety spikes. And I know IT managers listening are feeling the exact same thing right now.
Uh-oh. What is it?
Google stated that, quote, many existing Chromebook models will be eligible to transition to this new Googlebook experience.
Ah, yes. The dreaded money and eligible.
Right. Wait, what makes an old device eligible for this upgrade? Are we looking at a Windows 11 style migration nightmare here?
That is the multi-million-dollar question, and the Windows 11 migration PTSD is very real for IT departments.
Microsoft suddenly required those specific security chips, the TPMs, right?
Yep, the TPMs, which instantly made millions of perfectly functional older laptops obsolete overnight. Google readily admits they cannot afford to repeat that mistake with their deployed fleet.
But the details on which specific models actually get this new hybrid OS are incredibly sparse right now.
Very vague.
And over the years, ChromeOS became this incredibly versatile Swiss Army knife. With a little tweaking, You could run Android apps. You could run Linux software for coding.
You could even run a full-fledged legacy Windows program.
Exactly. So if this new Googlebook OS is fundamentally built on Android architecture, will it still have that capability? Or are we just getting an oversized Android tablet with a keyboard bolted onto it?
Well, one of the defining benefits of a Chromebook is that it gives you a true, unrestricted desktop-class web browser.
Right, which is always faster and way more productive than a mobile browser.
Exactly. So the tension right now is whether this new OS retains that powerful desktop engine, or if it, prioritizes mobile app compatibility at the expense of web browsing power.
What we do know is what the new hardware looks like. Well, sort of.
Yeah, Google confirmed that partner brands are rolling out premium Googlebooks this fall.
And the list includes Acer, Asus, HP, Dell, and Lenovo. And they're going to be powered by a mix of chips from Intel, Qualcomm, and MediaTek.
That chip variety is actually vital to understand. Intel keeping its chips in the mix means these laptops will still support x86 architecture.
Let's do a quick translation on x86 versus Qualcomm's ARM chips. Why does the average professional care what architecture is under the keyboard?
Simply put, it dictates what software you can run and how long your battery lasts.
Okay.
Intel's x86 architecture is the traditional PC standard. It means your heavy-duty legacy desktop applications, maybe, a proprietary piece of software your company built in 2014, will still run natively without crashing.
Got it. And the Qualcomm ARM chips?
Qualcomm uses ARM architecture, which is them trying to mimic Apple's exact desktop strategy.
Wow.
They want to give you massive processing power, but with a thermal efficiency that means your laptop stays cool on your lap and the battery literally lasts for 2 days.
Wow. So you'll basically have to choose your hardware based on whether you need legacy software compatibility or just marathon battery life.
Pretty much. But the physical design detail that caught everyone's eye today is this new glow bar.
Oh yes, the glow bar. Every single new Googlebook, regardless of the manufacturer, is going to feature this rainbow-hued LED bar on the back of the screen.
It's a unified design language, kind of throws back to some of Google's older iconic hardware aesthetics.
It's a fun touch, and it really screams Google. But what was noticeably missing from that list of hardware partners, like the absolute elephant in the room, Samsung.
I know, there was not a single Samsung logo on that presentation.
Right. Google executives later clarified that the presentation only highlighted partners hitting the initial fall 2026 launch window.
But still, it's a glaring omission.
Huge. If you are a Samsung loyalist who just upgraded to a Galaxy phone, you might want to hold off on buying a new laptop this fall until we know if or when Samsung is actually joining this new ecosystem.
Good advice. And you know what the other glaring absence was?
First-party Google hardware.
Yes. There was no mention of a Pixel Googlebook at all.
It is incredibly strange for a tech giant to announce a massive platform shift without unveiling their own flagship hardware to set the standard.
It is unusual, yeah. But it signals that Google is focusing their immediate energy entirely on the software and the intelligence layer first.
The physical hardware is just the vessel.
Exactly. The real engine driving this unified future is the software brain.
Well, let's look closer at that brain then. It's the newly branded Gemini intelligence.
Right. Google is essentially taking their most advanced AI capabilities, bundling them together, and optimizing them to run on these new premium devices.
That includes the Googlebooks arriving this fall, but also the upcoming Galaxy S26 and Pixel 10 phones coming this summer, right?
Yep, exactly. And the standout feature they demonstrated is true task automation across your apps.
See, we've talked for years about AI answering trivia questions or summarizing long emails, but this is the AI actually taking over and navigating your user interface for you. It sounds like we are moving from a do-it-yourself kitchen, where I have to fetch the ingredients, chop them, and cook them across 3 different apps, to finally having a sous chef.
Yeah.
I just say, make me a salad, and Gemini does the prep work.
That sous chef analogy is absolutely spot on. Instead of you opening 3 different apps to get a chore done, Gemini does the clicking, the scrolling, and the typing.
The examples they provided were really vivid. Say you want to go to a spin class. You don't have to unlock your phone, open the fitness app, search for the specific studio, check the schedule, and manually tap the bike you want.
No, you just ask, and Gemini navigates the app invisibly to book a front row bike for you.
Or, if you're a college student, Gemini can dive into your Gmail, locate your professor's syllabus, extract the required reading list, open a bookstore app, and automatically add those textbooks to your shopping cart.
It fundamentally takes the logistics completely off your plate.
Yeah.
And this capability gets exponentially more powerful with a concept they call multimodality.
Right, multimodality.
In the past, you had to type or speak a text prompt to an AI. Now you can use raw visual context.
Okay, this is the feature that made me stop and rewind the announcement.
The grocery list.
Yes. They showed a user with a long, messy grocery list typed out in their Notes app. You just long press the laptop's power button while looking at that list, and Gemini instantly builds your shopping cart in a delivery app. Like, how is that physically happening behind the glass?
Well, we are moving way past the era of highlighting, copying, opening a new tab, pasting, and searching. What you're seeing there is multimodality in action.
Okay.
When you long press, the AI is taking a localized, secure snapshot of your screen. It uses optical character recognition,
Okay, OCR.
right, to basically read the pixels in your messy notes. It translates those pixel shapes into actual text data. Then it uses an API, which is essentially a digital bridge, to silently talk to your grocery store's app in the background.
So it maps the word apples from my screen to the store's inventory database and just drops the item in the cart.
Exactly, in a fraction of a second.
So it's essentially acting as this microscopic human clerk, reading my handwriting and running through the aisles of the digital grocery store for me.
Yeah.
That ties perfectly into a broader concept they are introducing called generative UI, specifically a feature called Create My Widget.
Oh, this is fascinating. We are so used to widgets being completely static. You pick the weather widget or the calendar widget from a preset list provided by the developer.
Right, but generative UI means you can use natural language to vibe code a custom widget on the fly.
Vibe coding. Such a great term.
I love that term. So if you're an avid cyclist, you don't just want a generic weather app telling you if it's sunny. You can tell Gemini, build me a widget that shows wind speed and precipitation chances over the next 3 hours at a glance.
And the operating system actually writes the code, and it just materializes on your desktop or your smartwatch.
Or you can say, give me a dashboard that suggests 3 high-protein meal prep recipes every Sunday morning. And boom, it exists.
It is the operating system creating a bespoke interface for you in real time. But to do that effectively, to anticipate what you need, the AI needs to know you very, very well.
Oh boy.
Which brings us to the most controversial part of the announcement today, the new Gemini autofill.
Here we go. Gemini will now optionally show up in your autofill menus on Android. And it can connect to your personal intelligence, meaning it indexes your private Gmail and your entire Google Photos library to help you fill out forms.
The primary example they gave was a user filling out a form online and suddenly needing their vehicle's license plate number.
We've all been there.
Right. Instead of you pausing, running out to the garage, and writing it down, Gemini searches your Google Photos library, finds a picture of your car from a road trip 3 years ago, extracts the license plate number from the image, and drops it into the web form.
Okay, wait. I have to challenge this. I have to push back hard here on behalf of every user out there.
I thought you might.
I'm a busy parent. I deeply appreciate convenience. When I'm registering a car online and I don't have the paperwork in front of me, having the answer instantly sounds incredibly helpful.
Sure.
But doesn't an AI autonomously digging through my years of personal, private family photos to hunt for a license plate cross the line from helpful assistant to, like, creepy stalker?
I mean, you are identifying the ultimate convenience versus privacy trade-off of our entire generation right there.
It is a fundamental shift in how we view our personal data. My photos are my memories. Letting an artificial intelligence index the background of my vacation photos to extract data points so it can autofill a web form, it just feels invasive. Even if the technology is technically secure, the vibe is unnerving.
I hear you. And Google is hyper aware that this is a very sensitive boundary. They were deliberate in their announcement to emphasize that this system is designed to keep your data private and keep you in total control.
Okay, how so?
The crucial word here is optional. The AI does not scan your photos by default. You have to actively choose to grant Gemini access to your photos and emails for this specific purpose.
Okay, so it's opt-in.
Exactly. Furthermore, a lot of this multimodality processing happens locally on the device's hardware rather than sending your private photos up to a corporate cloud.
Okay, well, we all have to decide what we are willing to trade for that level of seamless convenience. We'll give you a second to think about your own photo library right after this. Quick thanks to our sponsor. Before we wrap up, a quick thanks to Old Glory, an iconic music and sports fan merch store. Perfect for the techie in your life. Use promo code SNARFL for 15% off at oldglory.com.
So looking at the big picture of everything we've covered today, Google is clearly building an entirely unified ecosystem that touches every part of your digital life.
They really are. They're bridging that massive, frustrating gap between the phone and the laptop with the new Googlebook line.
Yep, and they're ensuring they don't leave legacy enterprise and education Chromebook users out in the cold by offering support all the way until 2034.
Which is huge. And finally, they are deploying Gemini intelligence to act as a universal, proactive sous chef across all of your screens.
It's an incredibly ambitious vision. They are actively moving away from the concept of traditional operating systems. They are building what they explicitly call intelligence systems.
Which leaves me with a lingering thought for you to chew on today.
Let's hear it.
If our operating systems are now intelligent systems that can build their own custom widgets on the fly, dig through our photo albums for data, and physically complete our everyday errands for us, at what point do we stop being users of our computers and start simply being managers of our digital assistants?
Wow. That is the defining question of this next era of technology.
Mm-hmm.
You aren't operating the machine anymore. You are just providing the instructions and letting the machine operate itself.
It is a massive shift in how we work and live, and it's a lot to think about. We're here to help at Snarful, so reach out on our website if you have any more questions.
That's a wrap on today's top stories. Remember, tech doesn't have to be complicated, and we're here to help connect the dots. If you've got questions or want to learn more, visit us at snarful.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.